Hello everyone and welcome to the video. Today we're going to be taking a look at some of the monsters that people are picking in the Nat 5 Monster Selection event. No, it's not 4, come on. It's like, get out my Darwin! What's the fuck? So as you guys may or may not know, the 11th anniversary is here, and we're getting a whole slew of events, cornucopia of events. I don't know what words to use. But amongst one of the events that we're getting, it's another Nat 5 selector, which can never complain about that. I mean, a free Nat 5 of your choice from the main attributes, fully leveled up, fully evolved, fully skilled up, everything, except, runes and artifacts. And the cool thing about this event is alongside of a Nat 5, you get a Nat 4 of your choice, which we will talk about in a separate video. In this video, though, what we're going to be doing is, rather than sitting here and just kind of giving you my options, because I guarantee you, a lot of my picks are going to be the same picks that everyone else is giving out. I'd rather sit here and kind of go through the list of monsters that people are actually picking and kind of judge it a little bit, right? Not necessarily to say that any of these monsters are bad. I mean, all of these monsters are good in their own way. Some more, they have a much bigger impact than others. But what I really want to talk about is whether you as a new player need it or not. I mean, at the end of the day, you pick a monster that you want to have fun with. Like, you don't have to pick a monster from this list at all. If you're like, oh, I want to have Savannah, or I want to have Ganymede, or I want to have, gosh, what is his name? It's not Daphnis, it's the water one. It's Ganymede, ain't it? Whatever. No, Ganymede is the wind one. It's the water one. I can't remember his name, dude. It's freaking Bob the Builder, dude. But whichever one brings you the most joy, just pick it, right? I mean, it's a video game after all. Have fun. You'll progress no matter what. It's just whichever monster you pick might progress you faster or slower than others, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about. So we'll go through each monster. We'll talk about what this monster is going to be used for, especially when it comes to you. And we'll talk whether or not maybe there are alternatives that you could pick. So maybe you could be smart with your Nat 5. Because it's like, there are a couple units on here that I look at and it's like, okay, yeah, this is a good unit and all, but it's just like, you could get a better unit, right? You could pick another Nat 5 that's better for you, and you'll find that the Nat 5 that you were probably going to pick wasn't all that great and could have easily been replaced by, heck, a 4-star, heck, maybe even a 3-star or 2A or something like that. So, yeah, we're going to just go through down the list, down the line. I'm just going to give you my insight. Obviously, what I'm saying is not set in stone. What I'm saying is not factual in a way. It's more opinionated. Some of these things will be facts, right? But most of these are going to be opinions, right? Because I'll look at some of these monsters, I'll be like, oh, you don't need this. But it's just like, it's not the best pick for you. But it's just, what do I know, right? It's just my opinion. So let's get to the monster collection, and we'll just start going through all of these monsters. Starting off with Tashar at number 1. He had a whopping 53.5%. More than half of new players entering the game picked Tashar. And heck, even amongst existing and returning summoners, he was the most as well. That's wild, but for a pretty good reason. Tashar is a beast. He has amazing wave clear thanks to his passive, and even before skill ups, he's pretty good. But thankfully, you do get him fully skilled up. I mean, skill 1 is whatever. I mean, the stun rate is whatever. But skill 2, dealing damage based off the enemy's HP or the condition, I believe. And then strips are really good, especially when you consider the places that you're going to use them, like giants, specifically giants. I mean, he can be used in other places, but giants is probably going to be the place that you're going to use him, because he's going to be very helpful in speeding it up, right? Especially if you bring him alongside, what is the harpy's name? Prilia, I think. Since she has a defense breaks on all of her turns, it's like what you could do is have Prilia, him, and then like the rest of your team. You could have Harazvelg as well. Harazvelg is a really good unit. Just go Vero, and then you can go Akamimir, Vero, Tashar, Prilia, and then Harazvale, and I think that'd be a pretty decent team, and you'd get under a minute easy, 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 easy. But there's Tashar. But a strip is again very helpful. You do need strips and giants. Plus HP condition damage is always good. And then his passive, like I mentioned, is like the key component of his kit, where he attacks all enemies with the Violent Storm once more. So after his initial attack, to stun for one turn after you attack an enemy on your turn. Um, you have to kill the enemy to get this consistently. So if you do manage to get an enemy killed every single time you attack with him, you could use this passive infinitely, but you have to kill the enemy. So that's the thing. Which is why I was mentioning Prilia earlier. So to get the defense break on, and Harazvale has to be faster than Tashar. But Tashar kind of acts like how what's his name? Almost, I kind of think of like Lucian when I think of Tashar, because like back in the day when we had the Sath Tatu team, like the way I used Lucian on that team was I had Lucian clean up after the rest of the team went. Tashar can be kind of like that as well. Everyone will be faster than Tashar. They'll use their kit, they'll use their moves or whatever, and then Tashar comes in and cleans up, and he just helps with the wave clear. So it's a whole one turn rotation per wave, and you don't spend too much time in there. You'll get like 46 to 50-second times. Really good unit, very helpful, and not too hard to build. He's a pretty basic unit. Damage, that's all he needs. Um, so yeah, I mean, this is a good pick. I would totally recommend this guy, but let's move on to the next unit. By the way, I should mention that for Tashar, start off with Fatal Blade, then move on to Rage Blade, attack, crit damage, attack, as much attack and as crit damage as possible. We could totally make a video on this guy if you guys want to. I can just hop on one of my old accounts that has him, and we could just you'll see how crazy he is. But second place is Rika at a whopping 4.3%. Yeah, it drops off from here, but that doesn't mean that these units aren't good. Rika is a very, very good unit. Rika is going to be helpful in quite a few places, but the main place that you guys are going to use her for in the beginning is going to be Trial of Ascension. She's a god in Trial of Ascension. Tons of AoEs, tons of crowd control, and tons of dots. Starting off with her skill 1, she does have a chance to put the enemy to sleep, and if she does, she acquires it another turn, up to 2 turns, if the enemy falls asleep. Cool. So it's up to 2 times, so you can't get anything past that. Skill 2 is a AoE stun and decrease their attack speed with a 50% chance every 3 turns. Skill 3, did I say skill 3 on this one? This is skill 2. Skill 3 attacks all enemies 3 times. Each attack will decrease their attack speed and inflict continuous damage for 3 turns every 4 turns. Throw her on Despair Energy, or if you manage to get yourself some focus runes, Despair Focus or Despair Will, if you get further into the game, and she will help you clear obviously all of normal and then all of hard. I mean, you're talking about crowd control galore. Crowd control here, and then she procs into another turn, so built-in violent proc. Skill 2, attack speed, slow, and stun. Slows are just as important as stuns. I think you look at some people and all they look for is like the actual crowd control, like stuns, freezes, and all that, but speed slows are really, really important. Then you get skill 3, dots, and then again, if you build her on Despair, you can have a chance to stun here. I mean, really good unit. And then when you get into TOA hard, you're not going to really be dealing all that much damage with kind of Crow, at least in the beginning. I mean, you'll still do a decent amount of damage, but you'll notice that the damage starts to fall off, and it takes longer to beat the stages. Bring units that have dots like Rika or Thrain or, gosh, what is the witch? Bitch witch? Gina. Bring units like that to help you clear TOA. Rika is totally a really good choice. If you pick Rika, I don't blame you. Plus, when you think about it, with Tashar, I did say Tashar is a good pick, but I think Rika is a slightly better pick in my opinion, because even like on this account, if we could look for 1 second, it's like we're clearing Giant's Abyss at 58 seconds without her or without Tashar. Tashar, if we were to bring him in, it might get taken down to 50 seconds. But for a lot of people who are newer to the game, it's like TOA hard is probably a bigger issue for you. It's much more difficult. People have a much harder time. And you think about it, it's like the rewards for TOA hard are very, very important, like very, very big. I mean, legendary all attribute, crystals, Devilmons, all that is very, very important. And I'd rather have like 8 second longer, like a time that's 8 seconds longer every single time, but also have all of my TOA cleared. Why am I not speaking proper English? I'd rather have that done than have a slightly faster Giants Abyss team, right? But that's just me personally. That's just me personally. Let's move on to the Water Dragon. Next up is Varad, the Water Dragon. Um, this choice is more interesting to me because me personally, I wouldn't pick him. If you pick him, that's completely fine. Again, he's not a bad unit. But when I think about all the units that you can obtain very early on in the beginning, I think of like a unit like Tyrant. I know like people are gonna hate me comparing him to Tyrant, but Tyrant is pretty similar to this guy. I mean, we'll take a quick look at this guy's kit first. So skill 1 doesn't do anything. It's just a basic attack, right? Skill 2 is an AoE freeze, where it freezes enemies for 1 turn with a 60% chance. If the enemy is already frozen, you can increase the freezing effect up to 2 turns, which is cool. It just elongates the freezing effects. And then the skill 3 is an attack bar reset that also has a freeze on top of it. And the cool thing that you have to pay attention to about the skill 3 is that it says glancing hits won't occur if the enemy's defense is half or less than your defense. So obviously you want him to have high defense. For new players, if you're curious, glancing hits are essentially just weak basic attacks that don't do nothing. They don't crit, you won't land debuffs, so whenever a glancing hit does occur, the enemy just takes a very weak attack. They won't get frozen, they won't get nothing. So this occurs mainly whenever there's a glancing debuff or the enemy has a buff that increases the chances of glancing hits occurring on them or whomever has that buff specifically, or when there's an attribute difference. And when you get a unit that is a crowd control unit, you kind of don't want them to glance because that defeats the whole purpose. If they're a crowd control unit, they can't land crowd control effects if they're just glancing on everybody. So having this anti-glance thing on his third skill is going to be a really big deal. It can be very annoying to deal with in so many places. You think of Trial of Ascension, you think of PvP, arena defense. He's annoying in arena defenses as well. Um, Fast, tanky, very simple to build, very effective. He's not a bad pick at all. Like, don't get me wrong. I think he's actually a pretty good pick. I just personally wouldn't pick him, especially if I was a new player. There are so many choices that it's just like he kind of comes further down the list. If you do happen to get units like Tashar or Rika, or heck, even a few others on this list before him, by all means, pick him. But he's not the first choice. But I was comparing him to Tyrant a second ago. Where is he at? Where's my boy? He should have gotten an art rework as well. Kind of look kind of lame. But he has a skill 3 where he attacks all enemies and freezes them for 1 turn, and he also slows their attack speed. So it's not an attack bar reset, but he does kind of have a pretty good attack bar reduction skill on his skill 2, and he places glancing on the enemy. But the attack bar decreasing is under a certain condition. The enemy has to have a slow effect on them. But if anything, Varad and Tyron pair well together. But Varad is not a bad pick at all. Again, he'd be very annoying in so many places. I mean, again, Trial of Ascension, he'll help carry in Trial of Ascension. He's going to be very useful in the boss stages as well. With that attack bar reset. PvP, in a weird, odd way, I could kind of see him being used in Dragons as well. Yeah. Anyways, like I mentioned, he's kind of the same with as Rika. Despair is not a bad choice on him early on, but when you start moving into the PvP space, Violent is the way to go with all of these units pretty much. But let's move on to the next unit. So the next unit is Liam, the Water Weapon Master. This is interesting. Was this the same pick as last year? Was he being picked last year? Let's see. Let's take a look at his kit. He does have an attack power lead of 33%. Skill 1, HP Disturb Recovery. It's a multi-hit as well. AoE, Skill 2. 2 times blocked him from receiving beneficial effects. Oh my god, I'm gonna stutter. I just know it. Increased chance of landing glancing hits, and the damage increases to enemies' max HP. Skill 3 attacks all enemies and stuns them for one turn if there are 4 more enemies. The damage increases as the oh, oh my gosh, increases the higher the enemy's current HP. Attacks the selected target 6 times if there are 3 or fewer enemies, and deals damage that ignores defense up to 100% lower the target's current HP. Okay, don't don't worry about me speaking. Yes, I'm having a stroke. I actually he seems like a really good pick. I can see him being picked. I would totally use him again. I kind of kind of think of Trial of Ascension. I can see this being very useful in Trial of Ascension. There are a lot of stages in Trial of Ascension where the enemy is buffing each other and making it impossible um to proceed, or at least they're making the runs so much longer because they're placing shields. Like you get like Arena, for example, or there's just sorry, got distracted. But there are just tons of buffs that are preventing you from proceeding. I see this obviously mainly in dragons though, because you get tons of AOE's, you get damage that increases according to the enemy's current HP. It's useful there, very useful in PvP. You can bring this guy into a lot of places. There's no judgment here. I was confused about it because I don't really use Liam, but I could see it. Gosh, dragons in PvP and TOA. Yep, dragons. Oh, yep. I can just click on this. Arena, Siege, yeah. Fire Beast for sure. Yeah, very strong pick. I could see these are actually some pretty good picks. The next unit is Zyros. By the way, uh, Liam was at a 3%. Zyros is at 2.6%. Why are people picking Tyros? Tyros, yeah, that's his name. Leader skill, attack power, 33%. Skill 1, uh, I mean, it's okay, I guess. Damage increases by 10% for each harmful effect. Whatever. Skill 2 burns enemies with fire shower to 3 to 5 times, inflicting continuous damage for 3 turns with a 35% chance, and increases the enemy's skill cooldown time by 1 turn with a 10% chance each every 3 turns. Third skill, Fiery Breath, attacks all enemies and puts their skills on max cooldown. If the target is not a boss, increases skill cooldown time by 1 turn more than the max cooldown. Additionally, if the enemy's attack power is half or less than your attack power, the attack always lands as a critical hit and increases the damage dealt to the enemy by 50% every 5 turns. It's kind of like Varad in the sense that it's like he's useful in so many places. TOA is another. TOA is just getting a whole lot of love from all these monsters. PvP obviously is so annoying. Um, thing is, I'm trying to think in the mind of a new player. It's like as a new player, would I pick this? The answer is no. Zyros is not getting picked as a new player for me. Um, I'm assuming that this 2.6% of people are people who have started over again. So these are people who have played the game before and they're just picking Zyros because they know Zyros is going to help them later down the line. Because later down the line, I think Zyros is a beast. He's crazy. He's really good for your account. Early on, though, as helpful as he can be with resetting cooldown times in TOA and maybe even in early on Arena, I don't think it's necessary. If you're like, oh, I got it for TOA, it's like there are other TOA units that are better. If you already have those units, then by all means pick them. But I wouldn't pick Zyros in the beginning. So if you're a new player, I would highly recommend you pick somebody else, especially since I liked how I didn't know about this until I think it was either Sean B or Jubigel pointed it out forever ago. But you're really looking for a max skill cooldown time or skill cooldown time thing in general, reduction, blah 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 blah. Um, where's the succubus bitch? God damn it! Oh my god, I'm so blind, dude. There you are, Akia. Attacks enemies without blah 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 blah. Attacks all enemies and increases their skill cooldown time by 2 turns and puts them under sleep for 1 turn with a 50% chance. So she kind of does exactly what he does, in a way. But I just think it's like again, as useful as he is, he's not needed. In fact, I would probably pick Varad over this guy. Um, but he's not a bad pick at all. I mean, none of these picks are bad. I mean, that's what I was saying earlier. But again, in the beginning as a new player, because I'm trying to think in the mind of a new player, despair. But the instant you can move on to either, I'd build him like on a despair damage build. Um, Violent is obviously the next kit, but let's move on to the next unit. The next unit is Leo, who comes in at a 2.4% pick rate. So 2.4% of new players are picking this guy. Why is that? Well, I'm sure it's because of all the videos that they've seen of people in RTA with him. He's really good late game, but I don't know how helpful is he in the beginning of the game. Let's see. Um, Defense of all monsters with the wind attribute, continuous damage. Uh, if your HP is below 30%, the enemy's defense is ignored. And the damage you deal tons more damage when your HP is lower. So, tons of crit damage, and I'm sure. Gosh, I was trying to think of a rune, but I'm not gonna. Whatever. Passive. The attack speed of all enemies and allies is limited to your attack speed, so you can build this guy as slow as you want him. This effect does not affect enemies with the same skill or boss monsters. Decrease the enemy's attack bar by 15% with an attack. I think like what would be fun on this guy is at least a little bit of revenge, like at least one revenge set on him, and then I would go like rage revenge. I wonder if vampire nemesis. Okay, yeah, vampire because he'll heal himself with that big old skill two of his. He's definitely a PvP monster for sure, but it is just like yeah, as a new player you don't need this. I mean, again, I assume that a lot of people picking some of these monsters are people who are coming back to the game and just starting fresh, new account and everything. You're like me. But even then, it's like I pick a monster that I could use now and is going to be helpful later on down the line. But I mean, if you're PvP focused, you're building a new account and you're going straight into PvP as early as you can. Leo is a good pick. I mean, you can build him fairly tanky, I imagine. Um, Attack, crit damage, attack. I wonder if you're going a little bit of HP in the substats or defense, something. But again, something I wouldn't pick. I'm trying to talk new players. New players. Come on, if you're new to the game, don't pick him. Pick a monster that's gonna have a very big impact on your account. But if you're just returning to the game, by all means, pick him. It's not like any of these monsters are needed. 5 stars aren't needed. They're they're privileges that we have as players, right? Because you can get by this game with 3 and 4 stars. Heck, you can get by this game with 3 stars alone. 4 stars make it easier. 5 stars make it really easy, right? Let's move on to the next unit. The next unit is Nora. A lot of these remaining units are going to be PvP focused. Nora comes in at 1.7%. So these are again people who out of this 1.7%, I guarantee you like 1.6% are people who are, again, coming back to the game. The other 0.1 is just people who have seen videos. And they're like, oh, I faced off against a Nora in PvP, and she was really annoying. And she is. She really freaking is. I mean, she has a very powerful, is it skill 2? No, it's skill 2, but it's because of her passive. So she attacks all enemies to remove all beneficial effects granted on them, and then provokes them for one turn with a 50% chance each. Killer part of her kit is this, where she inflicts continuous damage over 2 turns when you attack an enemy on your turn, and inflicts continuous damage to an enemy target for 2 turns when you're attacked by the target during the enemy's turn. Whoa. No, actually, it's this one. It's this skill that I'm thinking about. It's Volcanic Tribe Totem. So whenever she's attacked, she stacks one totem. She then attacks all enemies to remove all beneficial effects, and then decreases their HP by 5% per harmful effect granted when you use a skill. Right? And she places dots, bro. She places dots on everybody. So she strips, deals damage, and then places dots. And then you pair her with the Wind Dokaibi Lord, and it's just like, oh my gosh, you have to be able to counter her hard. Otherwise, it's just you're gonna just have a hard time with her. Really good unit, but again, I mean, she could be used in Trial of Ascension, I guess. Yeah, she's being used in Trial of Ascension. Yeah, I could see it being used in Trial of Ascension, but it's just these are at 1% for a reason. She's not a bad pick at all. Um, let's see. Is this a real Nora? Yeah, I mean, something. I'm just jealous. Don't let me talk shit. 171 bonus speed is a pretty good one. That is a real Nora. Um, would I pick Nora? I kind of would. I mean, I picked Rika, but I would pick Nora as well. Like, if I had the choice, I would probably pick Nora. Um, Nora is a really good unit. She can be pretty helpful in the beginning of the game, and then the further into the game you get, when you start getting better runes and grinds and gems and all that, she just becomes a monster. She becomes very annoying to deal with. If you want to climb the arena ladder, she's going to be a monster that you're going to want to have on your defense team. She makes it very, very hard for, at the very least, mediocre players to climb. Mediocre players like myself. Let's move on to the next monster. Oh, okay. So Leica, that's our next unit. Leica is a personal favorite of mine. Leica was, what was it? One of my first favorite 5 stars was Leica, or yeah, yeah, it was Leica. It was either that or the Chimeras. It was one of them, but he was one of the first. He was one of the first units to make me actually get into the game and play it, because I mean, Dragon Knights. First of all, these look freaking dope. I would never like, these would be like one of the last guys I would get a transmog for, because they already look pretty cool before they're transmogs. But really powerful unit, especially back in the day, dude. I don't know about if you guys remember this. I know some of you will, and some of you won't. But some people used to build their Leicas specifically to help them solo, like the Giants floors and all that. So it's like you would just bring a Leica and then like some trash units, or you just bring the Leica by himself. And people used to make hella videos on Leicas just soloing all these stages. It'd take like fucking 20 years, but it was cool. But he's a really powerful unit, really good in PvP as well. Maybe not as good as Nora, but good in his own way. Hard to kill thanks to his passive. Your attacks won't land as glancing hits, and the inflicted damage on one attack won't exceed 24% of your max HP. Additionally, counterattacks the attacker with a 50% chance when you're attacked. Attacks the enemy, inflicting damage, blah blah blah. If the attack He inflicts continuous damage if the attack lands as a critical hit. Also recovers your HP by 50% of the inflicted damage. His skill 2 does damage based off of the number of dead allies. So the way I would build him is you could literally just build him as tanky as possible with some pretty good damage on the substats. And are people building Nemesis, or are they going to build? They're probably building Destroy on him. I would put Destroy on him. Vampire Destroy is the build I would probably go. But Vampire Nemesis, Vampire Blade, you're probably going attack for damage attack. Yeah, you don't throw HP on this guy. He never has HP. He will have the lowest HP of all your monsters. This is how you build like a. No, that is not. Why does he have so much HP? Let me see. He's fast. Oh, that's how you build a Leica. This is how you build a Leica. Holy moly, mother of God! Let me borrow your Leica one day, bro. I like that Leica. I like it better than the other one. Um, Leica's. Uh, I can't let my emotions get in the way. I want to say he's a good choice, but he's definitely not. He. This is like a choice you make when you just want to pick your favorite unit, which is what I told you guys to do. Pick a unit you have the most fun with. This is a unit that I think you'll have fun with. He's very fun, very very fun. Um, gosh, I wish I kind of want to pick him, but I need Rika. Let's move on to the next unit. The Fire Demon Bale is the next pick, sitting at a 1.2% pick. I actually saw like some people on Reddit. I was on Reddit the other day because alongside me, I thought I was the only one. I couldn't open the game. I could not farm the event for a while. It took 3 days for me to be able to get back on Summoner's War because the game just would not open. So I was on Reddit like, is anybody else talking about this? And I just saw someone talk about how they were confused on why people were picking Bale. But I'm kind of confused too, especially like new players. But we'll take a look at that. So arena lead accuracy 55%. That can be helpful, I suppose. Usually you want to go speed lead or something tanky, but accuracy is good. Skill 1 decreases the current HP of the enemy with the best HP status by 10%, and attacks the enemy target to inflict damage that's proportionate to that reduced HP. It is what it is. Skill 2 absorbs all other allies' HP by 10% to attack all enemies dealing damage proportionate to the absorbed HP. Recovers the attack bar of all allies by 20% afterwards every 3 turns when fully skilled up, which that can be good. You put him on a very tanky team, and he can deal a lot of damage while remaining tanky himself. You could build him pretty tanky. I imagine that's how people are building him. Rage Blade. Speed, crit damage, attack. Wow, really? I, they should put substats properties on here as well. Actually, don't come on here talking about no fucking Jesus shit if you're not gonna show me a real Bale. Um, no, straight damage. He's on Fatal Blade though, so I know you fucking ain't. Gosh, suggested. Can I get some suggested ones? Okay. Yeah, I suppose. Okay, I can see it with the speed. Did the other guy have speed? Okay. I just see. I'm thinking with my like. I'm thinking like on an unrestricted account, he's good, but on a new player account, he's not. And then like even if you're like, oh, I'm gonna use him for later. If you're gonna pick a monster for later use, you might as well go back to like the Leo or to the Zyros or something like that. Bale is not like. I don't feel like he's personally. I just don't feel like he's a unit that I would pick now as a new player. Wait a couple like weeks, if not months, and then finally get to use a Bale. Right? It's just like I could have picked so many other units. But it is what it is, I suppose. I wouldn't pick him. I wouldn't recommend you pick him either. There are so many units that you need to be getting over this guy, but he's a fun unit. So yeah. Let's move on to the final unit. My boy Velajul, sitting at a 1.1%. So 1% pretty much of new players are picking this guy. Why is that? I know he got a buff a little bit ago. I know it was a little bit ago. I can't remember what the buff is, so we'll take a look. Skill 1 has a strip, whatever. Skill 2 attacks the enemy with an attack that deals damage proportionate to your defense, decreasing the enemy's defense for 2 turns and recovering the HP of all allies by 15%. Oh my god. What is that? Insert foghorn sound? Like, you know that one? I need to find that TikTok. Um, it's he's not bad with the skill 2, but it's just like, why are you picking him as a new player? Skill 3 removes all harmful effects on all allies, granting the immunity for 3 turns and increasing the attack bar by 30% every 4 turns. Why are you picking him? I thought he got a buff. It was better when he recovered HP based off of the damage he did. Did he get worse? Best one. 2025. Best one where? In your street. In your corner of the woods. It's just cause not in the world. People aren't using this guy still, are they? Hmm. Suggested. You want one? Um. Uh. Yeah. No. Yeah, we're not gonna talk about. I would not pick him at all. Like even if you're a returning existing player, I would not pick him. Do people pick him like as a returning existing player? Why would you pick him? Like this is a list of the top 10 units people are picking. There are so many good Nat 5's. Why are we picking this guy? Am I just like dumb? Do I not understand? I guess I don't. I guess I am dumb. Oh man. Look, at the end of the day, I just want to pick him. But at the end of the day, pick whichever monster you want. If you want my top 3 recommendations, After looking at this list, Jashar is definitely one of them. Rika is definitely one of them. And believe it or not, Liam is actually the next one. I think Liam is tight as fuck. But right after that would come Varad, Zyros, Nora, then Leo, then Leica, then Bale, then Belajul. No, not even Belajul. He's not here. He's not here. Belajul's not on this list. I would not pick him. I don't know. You guys tell me what you guys are picking for the Nat 5. I picked Rika. I need help with TOA. I'm finna get TOA done tonight. And I'll see you guys tomorrow when we do the 4 stars. Peace.